Welcome back. We're continuing our conversation on the aftermath of Hurricane Irma. Joining me this morning, Republican State Senator Ana Terry Flores and Democratic State Senator Gary Farmer. These are the two best people I could have in here today. One represents the Florida Keys, one represents Hollywood. We've been talking about the nursing home. I want to turn to the Florida Keys in a second, but Senator Farmer, you had a couple of points you wanted to quickly make and a question that I think you had for Senator Flores, so go ahead.
Well, it's not so much a question. I'm very happy to hear Senator Flores talking about having some hearings specifically on the issue of what happened in this nursing home and the overall state of the care of the elderly and the frail elderly patients we have in this state. We have seen two very divergent timelines come out between the governor's office and the nursing home. We still haven't heard from FP&L and others as to some of those details. I've been speaking to the hospital officials who sometimes have a different even version of events. I think the hearings that Senator Flores has talked about being conducted should be conducted under oath. And I think we need to look into exactly what happened here and find out who's telling the truth, including why did the governor give his personal cell phone out? Right. Was that for political reasons? Was that because he himself doubted the efficacy of his agency's ability to respond to these events? Looking at some of the timelines I've been provided, I've seen 4 different emergency hotline numbers, including the governor's cell phone, that were used or contacted.
Right. I want to bring her. Let's bring her.
Yeah, no, and I think that I have no problem with having investigations under oath. We certainly don't want to do anything that's going to hinder the criminal investigation that's happening, because certainly I think that takes priority. What we want to do is not just get to the bottom of what happened at this nursing home. Certainly that's important and crucial for the families affected to get closure. But I think our job is to make sure, we have to look at the entire state and say, how do we make sure that this does not happen again? And to me, I think that's the #1 priority.
All right, Senator Flores, let's talk about, you've been spending a lot of time in the Florida Keys at your district. I think you've said you've made 4 trips up and down. I talked to you one day, you were in a caravan of 4 cars dropping off supplies. Give us an update on the Florida Keys.
Well, look, I think what stands out more than anything is just really how resilient people are. That word's been used so much to describe the folks in the Florida Keys, but it is so true. I want to give some props, some shout out to the local officials there, because their electric companies are both municipal. They have 2 municipal co-ops, and in some cases their power in the devastated Keys was on before many people up on the mainland.
They're not FP&L down there.
They are not. They have 2 municipal co-ops, and they are furiously working. A lot of people already have their power back. In the short aftermath, there was some initial criticism about not letting individuals back into the Keys. I mean, I completely understand someone's frustration of not being able to get back in
to see what happened to their home.
But you have to understand that, you know, people were not let in until very basic things could happen, like their toilets could flush. We couldn't have a health crisis on our hands.
How long before you think some normalcy returns to the Keys?
Well, look, in some parts of the Keys, it's back to normal. Part of the Upper Keys, Key West, I'm told they're going to be receiving their first cruise ship as soon as this weekend. And so in Key West proper, you already have seen, you know, maybe some of you have seen videos of, you know, Sloppy Joe's is open and Duval Street is open for business. Upper Keys, they're getting back into order. The bigger challenges, I think, involve workforce housing. That's the bulk of what was destroyed. Those images that you see, those are workforce housing. Those are the nurses that work in the hospitals, your bartenders, your waitresses, people that work in the service industry. So we have a long-term challenge when it comes to workforce housing, because it was expensive before, and now it's going to be even more expensive.
Senator Farmer, it looks like building codes actually work.
Building codes do work, and you know what? Regulation is not a bad word, Jim. Isn't that interesting? And I'm glad Senator Flores talked about affordable housing. We had an affordable housing crisis in South Florida and in the Keys long before this event. I don't know that it's the best use of resources to continue with mobile homes. Mobile homes were the primary source of affordable housing in the Keys. What this really highlights is what's been happening with something called the Sadowski Fund that we have here in Florida. It's money that's generated by dock stamps. It's supposed to go specifically to providing affordable housing. Those funds have been swept every year for, I believe it's the last 5 or 7 years, into general revenue. those are monies. The law is being violated.
So rather than going into affordable housing, they've gone into plugging holes in the general revenue.
Correct.
Right.
And that is not the intended purpose. That's not the law. We are violating the law when we do that. Broward County, I know, has lost $85 million over the last 5 years. I don't know what the number is for the Keys, but we've got to stop doing that. We've got to return those resources to their intended purpose, because all over South Florida, we have an affordable housing crisis.
Yeah, and I think that what will dominate this session overall will be hurricane-related issues. So we've talked about healthcare issues. We've talked about affordable housing issues. The building code, you know, every year there is an attempt to weaken the building code. It is unacceptable. When you make the drive down to the Florida Keys from Miami, what is striking to you is that the mobile home parks, unfortunately for those people, they're gone. But the homes that are well built, and it just doesn't have to be multi-million-dollar mansions. I'm talking about well-built, pre-manufactured concrete homes that are built on stilts, built to the building codes. Those are fine. I think as a government and as a legislature, we really need to invest not just in affordable housing, but making sure that people have the funds available to strengthen their homes, so we don't see something like this happen again.
Senator Farmer, Senator Flores, I really appreciate your coming in. Look, we're going to be dealing with Hurricane Irma for months and months from now, but this was a good beginning to start that conversation.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, the storm's effects on the poorest of our community.